Hi everybody, welcome to Jin's Wall Street News. Texas Instruments reported its earnings after the bell on last Thursday, and it expects current quarter's revenue to decrease 2.7% from the previous quarter. According to the S&P Global, Flash US Composite Purchasing Managers Index fell from 55.4 in December to 52.4 in January. The National Association of Realtors reported last Friday that the existing home sales increased 2.2% in December from a month ago. Last Friday, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced his plans to spend about $60 billion to $65 billion in capital expenditures this year for its AI infrastructure. 10-year Treasury yield falls to 4.59%. For the US stocks, S&P 500 fell 0.29%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq dropped 0.5% last Friday. Shares of Texas Instruments tumbled 7.52% last Friday. The company reported $4 billion of revenue for the previous quarter, down 2% year-over-year, but higher than expectations. Adjusted EPS was $1.30, down 13% from a year ago, above expectations. When it comes to the guidance, the company expected current quarter's revenue to be between $3.74 billion and $4.06 billion, midpoint of $3.9 billion, 2.7% lower than the previous quarter's revenue. In response to a question about the lower guidance than the previous quarter, Texas Instruments President and CEO Javi Villan said during the conference call, quote, "For Q1, about 3%, I think sequential, which is I would describe it as a seasonal decline for Q1. I will say that typically in Q1, what we do see is the personal electronics market would usually show quite a significant decline, just seasonality. If I start with the industrial market, most of the sectors that are kind of hovering at the bottom maybe found the bottom. And then there are a couple of sectors that are still showing larger declines, especially industrial automation and the energy infrastructure market that still not found it. I believe at the bottom we will have to see what the first half of 2025 has planned for that. On the automotive market, similar to Q3, we did see kind of a pretty significant weakness, maybe with the outside of China. So it declined about mid-single digit, about 5% sequentially, unquote. According to the S&P Global, Flash US Composite Purchasing Managers Index fell from 55.4 in December to 52.4 in January. The S&P Global said, quote, "Service sector confidence lost some of the shine from December's 1.5-year high, but remained the second highest recorded over the past year. Manufacturing confidence, meanwhile, surged higher, reaching the highest since March 2022, unquote. The S&P Global Flash US Services PMI decreased from 56.8 in December to 52.8 in January. The S&P Global said, quote, "While inflows of new business into the service sector remained robust, the rate of increase waned to a 3-month low amid the first fall in overseas orders since last June," unquote. The S&P Global US Manufacturing PMI increased from 49.4 in December to 50.1 in January. The S&P Global said, quote, "Factory production rose marginally, increasing for the first time in 6 months, with new orders also returning to modest growth after 6 months of decline," unquote. According to the National Association of Realtors, the U.S. existing home sales advanced 2.2% in December to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4,248,000, up 9.3% on a yearly basis. The National Association of Realtors chief economist Lawrence Yun said, quote, "Home sales in the final months of the year showed solid recovery despite elevated mortgage rates." He added, quote, "Home sales during the winter are typically softer than the spring and summer, but momentum is rising, with sales climbing year-over-year for 3 straight months," unquote. In addition, the median existing home sales price fell from $406,100 in November to $404,400 in December, up 6% annually. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced his plans to spend about $60 billion to $65 billion building out Meta's artificial intelligence infrastructure, up 50 to 62.5% from $40 billion last year. Microsoft already confirmed that the company plans to invest about $80 billion in capital expenditures in its fiscal 2025, up 43% year-over-year. Investors are now waiting for other hyperscalers' plans, such as Amazon and Google. In addition, Stargate already announced its $100 billion plan, but many investors are not sure about how much money Stargate will invest this year. 10-year Treasury yield fell right after the Labor Department reported that the number of Americans receiving benefits after an initial week of aid increased to 1,899,000, the highest level since November 2021. Then it moved up, but fell again as oil prices dropped after the U.S. presidential speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos. The yield falls further to 4.59% as copper prices also decreased last Friday. For the U.S. stocks, S&P 500 fell 0.29%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.32%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq dropped 0.5% last Friday. Big tech stocks mixed Friday. Shares of Nvidia fell 3.13% as investors are skeptical about Nvidia's revenues growing over 50% this year, despite Meta's CapEx plan growing 50 to 62.5% this year. Most of the U.S. chip stocks also dropped as Texas Instruments reported the lower guidance compared to previous quarter's revenue, which was down 2% on a yearly basis. Okay, this is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.